The Civil War was fought over the moral issue of slavery and the equal fair treatment of all men. The North and the South had many disputes between the free and slave states over the power of the national government, and there were many other factors that led to the rise of the bloodiest conflict in the United States. Even though there are many reasons that impacted the start of the war, here are the 10 most causes I found while researching: with the Lincoln-Douglas debates, the Underground Railroad, the book about Uncle Tom's Cabin, the Kansas-Nebraska Act, the caning of Senator Sumner, the birth of the Republican Party, the Dred Scott case, the John Brown raid at Harper's Ferry, and the Republican nomination of Lincoln. The Lincoln-Douglas debates that occurred in 1858 were 7 debate campaigns run all over the state of Illinois, where Republican candidate Abraham Lincoln argued confidently against Stephen Douglas's ideologies over the moral issues of slavery. And even though with Lincoln's perseverance and methods, Douglas still won re-election in the Senate, but lost a majority of power in his own party, while Lincoln, on the other hand, became an influential national figure and would soon become the first Republican president of the United States. A major disruption that led to the Civil War was the Underground Railroad. It was a network that consisted of Northern free blacks and ex-slaves who helped escaped slaves reach freedom. Harriet Tubman is an example of one of these ex-slaves who helped around 300 African-American slaves to escape from the South. Abolitionists in the North also organized vigilante communities to help protect ex-slaves from slave catchers. An influential written work by Harriet Beecher Stowe called Uncle Tom's Cabin in 1852 gave people an insight of the life of an enslaved man named Tom and his brutal slave owner Simon Leger. This story moved people to regard slave owners as cruel, but the Southerners saw this story as a bunch of lies and a way that the Northerners were targeting against their way of life. Later on during the Civil War, President Lincoln spoke to the writer and told her, "So you're the little woman who wrote the book that made this great war." In 1854, the Democrats had firm control over the White House and the Congress, influencing a new law passed by Senator Stephen A. Douglas, who had a corrupt plan to build railroads and promote Western settlement, while increasing the value of his property in Chicago. But in order to achieve this goal, he had to gain Southern approval, so he decided to introduce the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which allowed settlers in each territory and gave Southern slave owners a chance to expand slavery. After the bill had been passed, it repelled the Missouri Compromise, and conflicts between the anti-slavery and pro-slavery exploded. In the year 1856, Senator Charles Sumner verbally attacked the Democratic Party about their ideologies and included a personal attack on South Carolina Senators Andrew Butler. This angered Butler's nephew, so a week later, he assaulted and beat up Sumner with a cane to a point where he never fully recovered. And while the northern states were quite angered by this, the Southerners supported his actions and added more fuel to the flame. The Republican Party's power and influence started to rise in 1854. The party was founded in Wisconsin as a result of the Kansas-Nebraska Act and was composed of Free Soilers and anti-slavery Democrats, and its goal was to override slavery in the new territories. But as the number of disputes increased, more people started to join the party, including abolitionists, and was successful in alienating the South. The sectional crisis in 1857 became worse when the Supreme Court was given a case involving an enslaved black man and was given the verdict by the Chief Justice where he had no right to sue as he wasn't white and an American citizen. This ruling angered many people, leading to former Democrats to vote Republican in the future. The sectional crisis. A major slave uprising that is memorable is the John Brown Harper Ferry in 1859, where in Virginia, John Brown, an abolitionist, led his 4 sons and former slaves on an attack on Harper Ferry, where he handed weapons such as guns to enslaved men, but was ultimately caught and was hanged. The North condemned his actions, but the Southerners saw this as the North's true intentions, and this increased the tension between the North and the Southern states. On 1860, Lincoln was elected to be president and was the first Republican nominee where slavery was a central issue. He won majority of electoral votes, and his victory eventually led to the South seceding. On 1860, Lincoln was elected to be president and was the first Republican nominee where slavery. Thank you for watching.